Chapter 21 of My Airships by Alberto Santos-Dumont. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. Chapter 21. The first of the world's airship stations. Airship experimenters labor under one peculiar disadvantage, quite apart from the proper difficulties of the problem. It is due to the utter newness of travel in a third dimension, and consists in the slowness with which our minds realize the necessity of providing for the diagonal mountings and descents of the airships starting from and returning to the ground. When the Aero Club of Paris laid out its grounds at St. Cloud, it was with the sole idea of facilitating the vertical mounting of spherical balloons. Indeed, no provisions were made even for the landing of spherical balloons, because their captains never hoped to bring them back to the St. Cloud Balloon Park otherwise than by rail, packed in their boxes. The spherical balloon lands where the wind takes it. When I built my first airship house in the club's grounds at St. Cloud, I dare say that the then novel advantages of possessing my own gas plant, workshop, and a shelter in which the inflated dirigibles could be housed indefinitely withheld my attention from this other almost vital problem of surroundings. It was already a great progress for me not to be obliged to empty the balloon and waste its hydrogen at the end of each trip. Thus I was content to build simply an airship house with great sliding doors, without even taking precautions to guarantee a flat open space in front, and less still on either side of it. When, little by little, trenches, something like a metre or yard deep, vague foundation outlines for constructions that were never finished, began appearing here and there to the right of my open doors and on beyond, I realized that my aids might risk falling into them in running to catch my guide rope when I should be returning from a trip. And when the gigantic skeleton of M. Henri Deutsch's airship house, designed to shelter the airship he built on the lines of my No. 6 and called the La Ville de Paris, rose directly in front of my sliding doors, scarcely 2 airship lengths distant from them, it dawned on me at last that here was something of a peril, and more than a simple inconvenience due to natural crowding in a club's grounds. In spite of the new peril, the Deutsch prize was won. Returning from the Eiffel Tower, I passed high above the skeleton. I may say here, however, that the foundation trenches innocently caused the painful controversy about my time, to which I have made a brief allusion in the chapter. Seeing that they might easily break their legs by stumbling into those foundation trenches, I had positively forbidden my men to run across that space to catch my guide rope with their eyes and arms up in the air. Not dreaming that such a point could be raised, my men obeyed the injunction. Observing that I was quite master of my rudder, motor, and propeller, able to turn and return to the spot where the judges stood, they let me pass on over their heads without seeking to catch and run along with the guide rope, a thing they might have done easily, at the risk of their legs. Again, at Monaco, after a well-planned airship house had been erected in what seemed an ideal spot, we have seen what dangers were nevertheless threatened by the sea wall, the Boulevard de la Condamine with its poles, wires and traffic, and the final disaster due entirely to the absence of a weighing ground beside the aerodrome. These are dangers and inconveniences against which we come in time to be on our guard by actual and often dire experience. During the spring and summer of 1902 I took trips to England and the United States, of which I shall have a word to say later. Returning from those trips to Paris, I at once set about selecting the site of an aerodrome that should be all my own and in which the experience gained at such cost should be taken advantage of. This time I resolved my airship house should have an ample space around it, and, succeeding in a way, I realized, if I may say it, the first of the airship stations of the future. After a long search, I came on a fair-sized lot of vacant ground surrounded by a high stone wall inside the police jurisdiction of the Bois de Boulogne, but private property situated on the Rue de Longchamp in Neuilly Saint-Jean. First, I had to come to an understanding with its owner. Then I had to come to an understanding with the Bois authorities, who took time to give a building permit to such an unusual construction as a house from which airships would go and come. The Rue de Longchamp is a narrow suburban street, little built on at this end, that gives on the Bagatelle Gate to the Bois de Boulogne beside the training ground of the same name. To go and come in my airships from this side is, however, inconvenient because of the walls of the various properties, the trees that line the Bois so thickly, and the great park gates. To the right and left of my little property are other buildings. Behind me, across the Boulevard de la Seine, is the river itself, with the Ile de Puteaux in it. It is from this side that I must go and come in my airships. Mounting diagonally in the air from my own open grounds, I pass over my wall, the Boulevard de la Seine, and turn when well above the river. Regularly I turn to the left and make my way in a great arc to the Bois by way of the training ground, itself a fairly open space. There it stands in its grounds, the first of the airship stations of the future, capable of housing 7 airships, all inflated and prepared to navigate at an instant's notice. But, in spite of all the needs that I attempted to provide for in it, what a small and hampered place it is compared with the great, highly organized stations which the future must produce for itself, with their high-placed and spacious landing stages, to which airships will descend with complete safety and convenience, like great birds that seek nests on flat rocks. Such stations may have little car tracks running out from their interior to the wide landing spaces. The cars that run over them will pull the airships in and out by their guide ropes without loss of time or the aid of a dozen or more men. Their observation towers will serve for judges' timing stations in aerial races. Fitted with wireless telegraph apparatus, they may be able to communicate with distant goals and, perhaps, even with the airships in motion. Attached to their airship stations there will be gas-generating plants. There may be a casemated workshop for the testing of motors. There will certainly be sleeping rooms for experimenters who desire to make an early start and profit by the calm of the dawn. It is quite probable that there will also be balloon envelope workshops for repairs and changes, a carpenter shop, and a machine shop, with intelligent and experienced workmen ready and able to seize an idea and execute it. Meanwhile, my airship station of the present is said to resemble a great square tent, striped red and white, set in the midst of a vacant lot surrounded by a high stone wall. Its tent-like appearance is due to the fact that, being in a hurry to utilize it, I saw no reason to construct its walls or roof of wood. The framework consists of long rows of parallel wooden pillars. Across their tops is stretched a canvas roof, and the four sides are made of the same striped canvas. This makes a construction stronger than it at first appears. The outside tent stuff weighing some 2,600 kilograms or 5,720 pounds and being sustained between the pillars by metallic cordage. Inside, the central stalls are 9.5 meters or 31 feet wide, 50 meters, 165 feet long, and 13.5 meters or 44.5 feet high, affording room for the largest dirigibles without permitting them to come into contact with each other. The great sliding doors are but a repetition of those of Monaco. When in the spring of 1903 I found my airship station completed, I had 3 new airships ready to house in it. They were my number 7. This I call my racing airship. It is designed and reserved for important competitions, the mere cost of filling it with hydrogen being more than 3,000 francs or 120 pounds. It is true that, once filled, it may be kept inflated for a month at the expense of 50 francs or 2 pounds per day for hydrogen to replace what is lost by the daily play of condensation and dilation. Having a gas capacity of 1,257 cubic meters, or nearly 45,000 cubic feet, it possesses twice the lifting power of my number 6, in which the Deutsch prize was won, and such is the necessary weight of its 60 horsepower water-cooled 4-cylinder motor and its proportionately strong machinery that I shall probably take up no more ballast in it than I took up in my number 6. Comparing their sizes and lifting powers, it would make 5 of my number 9, the novel little runabout, which I shall describe in the succeeding chapter. The third of the new airships is my number 10, which has been called the omnibus. Its gas capacity of 2,010 cubic meters, nearly 80,000 cubic feet, makes its balloon greater in size and lifting power than even the racing number 7. And should I, indeed, desire at any time to shift to it the latter's keel, all furnished with a racing motor and machinery, I might combine a very swift aircraft capable of carrying myself, several aides, and a large supply of both petroleum and ballast, not to speak of war munitions were the sudden need of a belligerent character. The prime purpose of my number 10, however, is well indicated in its name, the omnibus. Its keel, or rather keels, as I have fashioned them, are double. That is to say, hanging underneath its usual keel, in which my basket is situated, there is a passenger keel that holds 3 similar baskets and a smaller basket for my aid. Each passenger basket is large enough to contain 4 passengers, and it is to carry such passengers that the omnibus has been constructed. Indeed, after mature reflection, it seemed to me that this must be the most practical and rapid way to popularize aerial navigation. In my other airships I have shown that it is possible to mount and travel through the air on a prescribed course with no greater danger than one risks in any racing automobile. In the omnibus I shall demonstrate to the world that there are very many men and women possessed of sufficient confidence in the aerial idea to mount with me as passengers in the first of the air omnibuses of the future. End of chapter 21.